I'm starting at a new departure point today. William Lucy Way, named after Lucy's, a former iron foundry, which amongst other things made the shelving in the Bodleian Library, the Oxford University Library. I am close to the entrance to Port Meadow, a stretch of land that runs for about 2 miles from sort of central North Oxford to a village called Wolvercote. And I'm going to link this up with the other the other side of the Thames path. So far I've been down the Thames southwards to Donington Bridge, stretch of river much occupied by the university and by rowers in general. Now I'm going to go in the other direction, northwards, which eventually passes through a village called Eynsham, though I shan't go that far. And this part of Oxford has a very different character. Well, it doesn't look as though that has been used for some time, that car. Maybe you can see the bits of tree all over it. Look at that. The air is full of midges, which means I'll be itching when I get home. Though I have found that a good way to reduce the pain of midge bites is to hold the affected area under a very hot shower for about 2 minutes. I've read that in the short term that numbs the nerves or sends confusing alternative pain signals to them which blank out the pain from the midge bites, but I think there's something longer term that goes on too, that actually changes the chemical processes in the midge bite. Anyway, the air is full of midge bites. I am now on a bridge leading to Port Meadow, and bridges are only bridges because they cross things, and this bridge crosses the railway. This is the railway. This is the railway from Oxford Central Station northwards. I say Oxford Central Station because not so long ago Oxford did only have one station, but now it has two, and you have to specify. A new station was built on the north outskirts of Oxford, connecting it with Marylebone in London. nice journey, rather less busy than the Oxford to Paddington journey, though somewhat longer. That over there is part of Port Meadow. It's basically floodplain, and it will probably remain flooded until July. It's an area much loved by bird watchers because so many different species come and visit it. See more of that in a minute. On the other side of the bridge are railway workings. And there seems to be quite a lot of new stuff there, but I don't know what it is. Oxford Station is about, a quarter of a mile to the south.
Because, as you said, it's not just basically like financing someone who's been at university. And as Kelsey pointed out, even though she's here, like an undergrad student would like write a letter once a year, sort of saying what she's been up to. Like,
Bridge is sloping downwards.
You can't say no.
The sun has come out, which is lovely. It's a peculiar bike.
But yeah, she's cracking on. She's still got the change. Like, she's a bit more confident. I think she's built up in her head that like more in like superstar, yeah, exactly. Or just, it makes sense because you're not. It just seems like something alien content.
Walton Well Road, that's one of the nearest roads. And I'm now coming to the entrance to Port Meadow. Thanks.
No worries.
Cheers. I'm doing a series of walking videos for bits of Oxford.
Are you?
Yep.
Where are you headed?
Over there, and then if the battery holds out, down the Thames path. I've done up the Thames path
It's going back the same way.
to Donington Bridge. Now I'm going to do this bit.
Oh, fair enough. Well, it's a good day for it. Enjoy.
Walking Oxford on YouTube.
All right.
That's the channel.
Walking Oxford. We'll check it out.
Cheers. So that's Port Meadow. That's Port Meadow. I'll say more about Port Meadow in future videos. Much loved by dog walkers, of course. That is Port Meadow. That in the distance is a village called Wolvercote, about 2 miles away. Easy walk. That's the southern edge of Port Meadow. excuse me if I'm jolting the phone all over the place, but this is really rough. Over there you should just be able to see a yacht. This part of the river, there's a yacht club just round the corner. Wolvercote in the distance again, now sunlit. That is the Thames, and it goes up the left-hand side of Port Meadow all the way to the top and then curves round to Eynsham. Now I'm going to say more about these another time. I did a video about architectural brutalism in Little Clarendon Street a few days ago. And most of the buildings featured there, all the buildings featured there, were from a bit past the middle of last century, 60s or 70s. But the university doesn't care too much about when it builds horrible buildings, it just likes building horrible buildings. I think this is why you don't have an undergraduate degree in architecture in Oxford, because they know that just wouldn't be compatible with what the students are taught and what they see.
Maybe that's part of them. Thank you. I think the back is a bit.
These are the Castle Mill flats, graduate accommodation. These are the Castle Mill flats, graduate accommodation built between 5 and 10 years ago. And they're horrible. They've been compared with warehouses on the outskirts of an industrial unit in Poland. And there's even talk about knocking them down, some sort of informal agreement, maybe that they be allowed to remain until 2030 or 2040, and then they can be demolished. By putting them up, the university blocked an ancient sight line and the view to a church called St Barnabas, which is much loved. The only redeeming feature is that the concrete they're made of is still clean, unlike the concrete of the buildings in Little Clarendon Street, but that's only because it's newer. Right, this is the path to back towards the centre of Oxford. This is the Thames. This is the Thames going southwards. I'm grabbing the phone with both hands because I don't want to accidentally drop it in the river. I'm now going to walk south along this path, the Thames path, and see whether I can connect up with the bit of the Thames I've already videoed. This is much quieter. plants still look fresh and green, but they've lost that translucent thinness that you associate with the real start of spring. You can see that they now realise they're in late spring, heading for summer. If you live in Oxford, or if you're coming to visit, come and walk this path now before things start looking really worn. I think those must be Castle Mill Flats again. If not, they're not much better. Nice situation. One narrowboat all in its own. Sorry. Nice to sit here and watch the ducks, boats and occasional swans. And I think there are some swans. There they are. Oh no, those are geese. River to the left of me, river to the right of me. In the university parks there's a piece of land called Mesopotamia, from the classical words meaning between the rivers. This is an allotment for non-English or non-British viewers. It's a piece of land probably owned by the council, which is parcelled up into small lots, which are rented to enthusiastic gardeners who want to grow vegetables or fruit or flowers. Most of the plots will have a little shed in them. At least, I think it's an allotment, but I'm not sure. It might be the back of the Pick Your Own farm, or is that further round? Maybe that thing wasn't an allotment. Maybe it belongs to one of the flats or houses that we can just see through there. We're coming up to land that borders Botley Road, the main west road out of Oxford. Seven Ravens. Very nice. Okay, I'm receiving urgent battery warnings, so I'm going to quit in a minute. See you next time. I'm now still on the Thames path. I haven't connected up yet with the bit that goes under Folly Bridge. The continuation of where I am now will go on to Botley Road. Under Botley Road, there's a bridge there, and then round and eventually curving towards Folly Bridge and meeting up with where I've been already. If I were to walk further along this footpath, I would come to Botley Road, and I'll do that another time. That's a nice place to sit. Bring a bottle of wine or some beer and sit out and watch that. And occasionally those. Well, it isn't quite the end. I'm just going to show you this notice, which has disrupted my way back to where I was going. There's far too much of this thing happening in Oxford now, and in my next few videos you'll see why. Things in Britain just don't work anymore.